Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, your in-depth look at how news from Taiwan is impacting the world. I'm Louise Watt. Taiwan has a new way of dishing out justice. It's never had a jury system, but now ordinary people can sit on a bench, give judgment and decide punishment as citizen judges. The new system sees 3 professional judges and 6 citizen judges. A guilty verdict needs at least 2/3 agreement, including at least 1 professional judge and 1 citizen judge. But how is it running on the ground? To discuss that, today I'm joined by Chin Mong-hwa, an associate professor at National Yangming Tung University School of Law in Hsinchu. He's done extensive research on citizen judges. Mong-hwa, welcome to the show.
Hi, Louise.
Let's first hone in on the new system. Within Taiwan, campaigners for years have called for a jury system. Now, this isn't that. Why has Taiwan gone for this citizen judge system instead?
I think a simple answer is that the legal profession is not ready for a full jury system yet. If you look at the American jury system, it requires a full ecosystem that supports the jury system. Prosecutors and judges have to speak in a way that people can understand. And law schools have to teach how to communicate, how to tell stories. And these are not what it is in Taiwan. In Taiwan, the legal profession are used to using professional jargons, are used to communicate through the exchange of documents. So if you look at a traditional Taiwan's trial, it's very different from what you see in the dramas, because the trial itself is not that important and all the communication can be done through the exchange of documents. And that's why citizen judge that allows judges to have more opportunity to communicate with lay people is a more, I would say, a moderate reform.
And how does someone get to be a citizen judge?
So the law allows any citizens who is above 23 years old and lives in that jurisdiction for more than 4 months to be eligible to become a citizen judge. And basically, the government will provide a list to the court system. Eventually, it will select the 6 citizen judges who will participate in the actual trial.
Is Taiwan's citizen judge system unique?
No. Actually, the citizen judge system or the lay participation system has become a trend in East Asia. Before Taiwan adopted the citizen judge system, Korea and Japan also adopted some form of lay participation. And the Japanese Saibang system is basically very similar to our citizen judge system. And our laws are reshaped, I would say, or amended from the Japanese Saibang system.
Ahead of the rollout, you observed dozens of mock trials with citizen judges. What did you notice about the way citizen judges interacted with the professional judges?
During the mock trials, we do see there's a tendency for professional judges to lead the discussion or to control the final outcome. We have to keep this in mind that these mock trials are broadcast live. And so the judges are trying very hard to give a good impression to the people who are observing those mock trials. But even then, the judges couldn't help themselves to try to, lead the discussion or to influence citizen judges. They know they shouldn't do that, but they did it. So this is something that judges have to learn in the future, because a successful citizen judge system relies on allowing citizen judges to say whatever they want and to speak their minds.
To begin with, citizen judges will hear murder cases and later on crimes punishable by at least 10 years in prison. It might seem strange to some people that they're starting with the most serious cases. Why is that?
Well, I think this has to do with the whole purpose of adopting this new system. The purpose of this new system is very straightforward. It's trying to communicate, for the judicial yuan to communicate with lay people. And so they pick the most controversial cases to do that, because these murder cases are usually the most high-profile cases that would attract the attention of the media. And it is the media and these high-profile cases that will shape the perception of lay people toward the judicial system. Another reason is resources. At the very beginning, we don't have that much resources to invest in this new system. And so we picked the most serious cases so we can control the number of cases that actually go into citizens judge trial.
Thank you, Mong-hwa, for explaining the system. Let's turn to now look a little more at how these cases are running in practice. The first trial with citizen judges kicked off in New Taipei City, just outside the capital, Taipei. Judges considered this night in November 2022 when police were called to arrest a 63-year-old woman. She had killed her husband in his sleep after years of abuse. The judges sentenced her to 7 years, 2 months in prison. That was less than what prosecutors had recommended. They wanted up to 12 years in prison. But the punishment was still criticized by domestic violence campaigners who said it was too harsh.
他的37年那种很严重的受虐的一些创伤啊跟事实，并没有纳入他减刑的理由里面。我是觉得这对于那个就是妇女会不太公平。我觉得很可惜哈，没有纳入专家证人的部分。对国民法官而言，他是一般的民众，他们可能会比较难接受到这样的训练。
Citizen judges were introduced to address a lack of public trust in Taiwan's justice system, with career judges seen as out of touch with society. But this first trial in the city of New Taipei has thrown up other concerns. The court only had 3 days to hear and decide a case, and 60% of the people called to participate as citizen judges didn't show up for final selection. Observers say judicial authorities need to better explain the new system to the public. Mong-hwa, how concerned are you with how the first trial has gone?
My first impression was that a 3 days trial was really short, especially if you consider the seriousness of the nature of this case. Because imagine you're the citizen judge and you don't know anything about the legal procedure. It may take you a day or so to just feel comfortable to sit in the court. And 3 days is basically requiring those citizen judges to, after spend a day or two adjusting themselves into this decision-making procedure. And then right after that, they have to deliberate with judges and decide a very severe case. So I think this is quite concerning. The law does not say what a typical trial should last, but I think the judge has a lot on his mind when he considers the length of a trial, including whether those citizen judges will continue to show up.
Let's look at the larger issue. More than half of Taiwanese don't have faith in their justice system, according to a 2022 survey by an opposition-aligned think tank. Only 35% do. Why is there such a lack of public trust in Taiwan's justice system?
Many of you might know that Taiwan was an authoritarian state not long ago. We've only democratized our laws and societies in the past several decades. So back in the authoritarian state, the judiciary is often considered as a weapon for the government. There are also problems with the integrity of the judiciary system. There are many examples or instances that a judicial officer taking bribe from the people stand before them. After Taiwan become a democratic state, these problems have now largely been resolved. But a lot of people still have the impression that the judiciary serves for those in power, or that the judicial officers taking bribes.
And I guess part of the reason as well is to make Taiwan's justice system more transparent, closer to the people. And I'm curious, because that transparency is important, why has the government made it illegal to ask judges, any judge, citizen or professional, how they came to their verdict?
Again, this is one of the hotly debated issue right now. Some people argue that the citizen judges should be able to tell what happened during deliberation. But the lawmakers at that time decided to keep everything confidential because they want the citizen judges to have no fear during deliberation. But now there are more and more people are arguing that the public have the right to know what's going on during deliberation. And if the public does not have the right, at least the defendant should have the right to know what's going on during deliberation, because the whole system is new to us. And it is not uncommon, I would say, or not surprising that the citizen judges or the professional judges will make mistakes during deliberation. And if a mistake does occur, then the defendant should definitely be entitled to know what was the mistake.
And what's your verdict so far in this new system? Has it gone well? Is there still things that need changing as a matter of priority?
Well, I think a lot of things should be in place, at least gradually. The first thing is the rules of evidence. We don't have a comprehensive rules of evidence in Taiwan, and that's because back in the days when the decision maker is a professional judge, we're not too worried about, for example, whether that judge is affected by bias, prejudice, or all sorts of decision-making shortcuts. But now, since citizen judges are the decision makers, we should be concerned about how bias affects those decision makers. And we don't have enough laws to govern that kind of the potentially biased information. That's one thing I would say that it's very urgent for the Judicial Yuan to begin the next reform.
Do you think in the future other countries will be interested in learning from the citizen judge system in Taiwan, possibly using elements of it in their own countries?
Yes, definitely. I would say that because, as I said before, it's a trend for East Asian countries to adopt some form of lay participation system. And so the scholars in every jurisdiction are doing research on similar topics. And at least in the academia, in the future, I would definitely say that Taiwan has the potential to have influence to other countries. And especially Taiwan's citizen judge system is a mixture of a lot of things and a mixture of our culture. And it's a very new system. So it can be seen as an experimental ground for older lay participation systems in the world.
Mong-hwa, thank you very much for sharing your insights and experience with us today. It's been a fascinating talk.
Thank you.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. For more stories and programs from TaiwanPlus, do follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.